fire broke out at Europe's largest nuclear power plant in Ukraine amid shelling as Russia's invasion entered its 9th day. Russian troops moved into the Zaporizhzhia facility as the blaze at a training building next to the reactors raised concerns over Moscow's evolving tactics and a potential nuclear disaster. Ukraine has 15 nuclear reactors according to the International Atomic Energy Agency. The country's emergency service said the blaze was extinguished Friday morning. None of the 6 reactors were affected and there was no radiation leak.
Russia's attack last night put Europe's largest nuclear power at grave risk. It was incredibly reckless and dangerous, and it threatened the safety of civilians across Russia, Ukraine, and Europe.
Russia's assault on the facility prompted calls between Western leaders and the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. In recent days, residents of the city set up barriers and occupied roads to stop Russian troops from advancing closer to the nuclear plant. As the second round of talks between Russia and Ukraine ended on Thursday without a ceasefire deal but an agreement on humanitarian corridors, Zelensky called for a direct meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Сядь со мной, поговори, чего ты боишься?
During a televised address, Putin said everything is under control.
Уважаемые товарищи, хочу сказать, что специальная военная операция идет в строгом соответствии с графиком, по плану. Все поставленные задачи успешно решаются.
But Moscow has faced strong resistance from Ukrainian forces and citizens and has carried out many attacks on civilian areas.
President Putin said his so-called special military operation is proceeding exactly as planned. Well, it's hard to imagine that his plan included inspiring the Ukrainian people to defend their country with such tenacity.
Western officials say Russia could resort to siege tactics to trap the Ukrainian population inside urban areas, cutting them.
It was the moment of an explosion in the central square of Kyiv, Ukraine's second largest city, on the 6th day of war. The attack left buildings near the local government headquarters in ruins.
This is called the Freedom Square. Can you imagine this morning 2 cruise missiles hit this Freedom Square, dozens of killed ones. This is the price of freedom.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the violence during a session at the European Parliament on Tuesday.
We are fighting just for our land and for our freedom.
Residential areas have also come under heavy shelling as Russia hit non-military targets. The news agency Storyful said it corroborated and verified the location of this footage. The surveillance video appears to show a series of explosions outside an apartment complex in Kharkiv as several people ran for cover. Homes were destroyed and the city's governor said that at least 10 civilians were killed as of Monday, as continued shelling interfered with rescue efforts. Many residents concerned about attacks took cover in makeshift shelters and basements.
С нами находятся маленькие дети, с нами находятся пожилые люди. Собственно говоря, очень страшно.
The scale of civilian casualties and damage to civilian infrastructure, even in these very early days, is alarming.
Russian President Vladimir Putin said no strikes targeting civilians were carried out and blamed what he called Ukrainian nationalists for attacking residential areas, according to state media. As violence escalated around Ukraine, a Russian military convoy advanced towards Kiev.
And it doesn't tell you much of anything good. There's certainly a lot of talk about what would happen if and when Kiev falls and where the government would go. But at some point, push might come to shove, and you could see the government retreating to Liew or other Western locations.
Ukrainian forces have shown strong resistance as Russia pushed ahead with its offensive. And in recent days, NATO has said it would bolster its forces to protect its allies in the east over Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Talks between the two countries are expected to continue.
Russia has invaded Ukraine. Vladimir Putin is intent on winning. And we're not close to that yet. And until we have some kind of clarity on who has the upper hand here, I don't think any peace talks are going to go anywhere. It's been closed. And there was real chaos at the main rail station in Kiev. Bus service, as far as we had observed, was also shut down out of Kiev. And so going by road, fleeing by road west is really the only way to go. Many of the people I've been talking to across Ukraine can't even get out of the cities they're in, mainly because they're afraid to go outside. They're hearing small arms fire, missiles, all sorts of heavy military action right around them. Some of them feel like they can't leave. The gas stations locally have run out of gas, and they really don't know what to do. People who are fleeing the hostilities are mostly going west, and they're trying to get over the borders into Moldova, Slovakia, Hungary, or Poland. We've seen people trying to get out in all sorts of ways. We've had people walking with luggage, people on bikes, any which way they can. This is a lengthy process, and then also once they do get to the borders, depending on which country they're trying to get into, the process of getting through immigration there adds many hours on top of that. It's too early to tell how this is all going to go in terms of whether or not we're looking at a prolonged refugee crisis, or if there's going to be stability in Kiev and other cities in the near term. That doesn't seem likely.